Kingdoms rise and empires crumble, and the knowledge and wisdom from past ages are lost to the foggy ruins of time. But for genuine seekers of truth, one place stands alone on a hill. Shining brightly in the darkness, you, dear listener, have reached the Hidden Citadel.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Monkey Investigates, where Monkey deep dives into some of our past episodes to see what he thinks about it. Unfortunately, Monkey has left us and gone to sit over by the door, and he doesn't want to be on camera right now because he's shy. So we're showing some pictures of his past adventures, like when he found the One Ring, or when he served in Vietnam or World War I. Or when he found ghosts, and he's an interesting dog, our Monkey. But we are getting ready to dive into one of the final mysteries that we investigate on an old episode of Is the Moon Hollow from the Hidden Citadel Archive Collection. And Greg is just about to tell us about some of the connections between mental illness and the moon from theories that have gone on in the past.
Some basis in history. It's so weird.
Yep.
What a strange intersection.
Well, here's the other thing, too. We're talking about a reflective surface.
Yeah.
And it's, to go back to our possibility that, well, what if the moon was manufactured?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, here we have the idea of something that's a very reflective surface where we don't really see that on other moons.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the other moons that you look at that we take telescopic pictures of, they're not super reflective around their planet that they orbit. Some of them are dark. Some of them are different types of colorations and things that, you know, it would be like maybe a portion might be reflective, but not the whole thing. And it's like, why is it that at least the one side of the moon is so completely reflective that it can light up the whole planet?
Yes.
You know, or the whole part of the planet that it's shining on at the time that it does. You know, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It's as if it was designed that way, you know?
That amazingly.
Yeah.
Well, but going back to it's that there's so much more functions than just a reflective light at night. I mean, there are tides and seasons. There's moods. There's like okay,
that's what I want to jump into, because you being a psychologist, we need to talk about where lunatic comes from.
Yeah, well, lunatic does come from that, but the reality is in all of psychopathology, there's no actual correlation between any sort of
that's what they say, but when
I'm just
you
saying
actually
it in the
talk
DSM.
to any cop, any nurse or whatever, they're going to tell you something different.
But okay, hold on. Are there psychological tendencies or psychopathological tendencies that occur when people are affected by a lack of sleep or an inconsistent sleep pattern? Yes. We've had some students that they come in and they are a mess, and the parents are like, they didn't sleep at all last night, and in some cases because they had full light coming into their room.
Yep.
And one of our students is just infatuated with the moon. He would just sit there and stare. And his mom goes, he didn't sleep last night. He was watching the moon. And he just sat there and watched the moon all night because it was just fascinating for him. Because
here's what I think about this. I think that some people have like inner ear, like fluidity and stuff.
Yep.
That governs their balance and things like that. And it's like, well, if the moon has a pull on a tide, why wouldn't it have a pull on the balance of your inner ear?
Oh, I agree with that completely.
So if that's the case and it makes you upset, then you would be like, I'm aggravated all day long, and so I'm going to punch this guy in the face because the moon is...
Well, generally,
and it's like...
generally speaking, your balance isn't your part of your mood generally. But
dude, I've been out of balance and it made me feel like crap. I've had water in my ear and I couldn't get it out, and it would throw my balance off and stuff. And
but in reverse engineering, though, to your point, that if you lack stability, your brain is trying to adjust to, because there's no other explanation for it. Similar to the way that, when you're sleeping and the things kind of happen and your brain tries to create the narrative of what's going on, that ends up being some, our dream state. It's that sort of thing. That yes, in a sort of sequential kind of way, what you're talking about could definitely take place, that the instability can cause then a psychological instability. Correct.
This is what I think with the DSM. I think that what you have is, I would like to see the studies that... I think Greg enjoys the fact that nothing is sacred to me. And when, he's like, here's the DSM, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Here's my opinion on that. And he's like, nobody in my field is allowed to have an opinion about that. It's what I think's going on in his head. Show and prove that the moon doesn't have
back that up just that if you lack stability, your brain is trying to adjust to, because there's no other explanation for it. Similar to the way that, when you're sleeping and the things kind of happen and your brain tries to create the narrative of what's going on, that ends up being some, our dream state. It's that sort of thing. That yes, in a sort of sequential kind of way, what you're talking about could definitely take place, that the instability can cause then a psychological instability. Correct.
This is what I think with the DSM. I think that what you have is, I would like to see the studies that show and prove that the moon doesn't have any effect. Because I think what's going on is, there may have been a study or a couple studies done, but they weren't very extreme, and they probably didn't delve into all the aspects of fluid in the brain or in the body or whatever that could be governed by the moon. And I would say that if you dig back and look at those studies, what you're probably going to find is there was an inadequacy in the way that the study was conducted. And so the DSM just latches on and say, well, there's no proof. And it's like, yeah, because the studies haven't really been done yet.
Well, hold on. So let me just define it for a second, though. The DSM, it takes the pathology itself and recognizes it. So the IDC or ICD-10 is what we're currently up to with that particular diagnostic kind of criteria, journal, whatever, book. And then the DSM is Diagnostical and Statistical Manual of Psychological or Mental Disorders, and that just, all it means is those are really the symptoms that everybody's agreed that you put all these together. That's what schizophrenia is. So it doesn't have as much. It doesn't have epistemological kind of thing. It doesn't have anything that shows where it developed from. However, in all of them, I don't think I've ever seen, and I taught the courses on it, like where the pathologies comes, and the pathology, the word itself is the study of. So it's not just you're not just diagnosing, you're studying, the occurrence over time. So it's like, I've never seen anything that's associated with, like, to your point, like when the moon has had a definitive, either correlation or causal kind of mode, not mode, but effect on the mood that you could say every time that, because anytime you have any kind of science, it's got to be reliability.
Propose an experiment.
Yeah, the reliability, right?
I would say that an experiment that if somebody wanted to fund it, Greg and I would be happy to investigate.
$3.
We could probably find a way to measure different fluids in either different parts of the brain or the ear or possibly over the heart, maybe the pericardium.
Yep.
Because we know that when the heart is constricted, like in sleep apnea and stuff like that.
The
fluids change, okay? Or even in the bowels, because sometimes people are upset, like if the fluids change in their intestines.
Yep.
I think that an experiment could be done, or several experiments could be done, where they test the fluidity at different times of the
waxing and waning
month.
Yeah,
the waxing and waning of the moon. And I mean, really, a women's period is kind of like is controlled in a way by the waxing and waning of the moon, and so it's kind of like, and women tend to get irritable sometimes when at certain times. Yeah, you may not have heard of this, but if that's the case, then that would make me think that other fluidic imbalances in the body could cause irritation.
I agree with that.
And there could be people that are more susceptible to that than others.
Absolutely.
And so if you've got 100, 200 years or more of cops and nurses and doctors saying we're noticing something whenever there's a full moon, then to me it's like somebody should do a better test, a better series of experiments to find out, because I would think that whatever experiments were done just were flawed.
Yeah. Well, I don't know I haven't really looked it up. I imagine it's been done. We're just not as researched as
we might not be. We just might not know about it. It's possible.
It'd be really cool
if those test experiments are out there and they have been done. Then it's like, okay, then I could say, well, okay, maybe I'm totally wrong, but it just seems to me like the other part of it, just to play the devil's advocate for a minute, is that you do have a full moon means there's a lot more brightness for bad guys to be out there doing all the bad things that they want to do.
Yeah.
So the concealment that, for instance, in ancient Japan, ninjas never attacked on a full moon.
Yeah.
They always attacked on a new moon because the samurai that were guarding the castles could easily see them coming.
Yeah.
And so they restricted all of their activities to the new moon and that time period. But bad guys in most of your inner cities, they are just like opportunists. And it's like, well, I'm going to be out at the full moon because everybody else is out. And that's when I can snatch and grab somebody's purse or, get in a fight or whatever. But it doesn't necessarily account for bar fights, being on the rise when there's a full moon. It doesn't necessarily account for domestic disputes happening more on a full moon.
Yeah.
So to me, I just think that there's probably something that hasn't been studied, and so because it hasn't been studied and something else has, it's masking the actual thing that needs to be studied. Is my thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound plausible? Or
no, it does. It does, and really, that's the way generally speaking, science is. You can't. It's like Gödel's incompleteness theorem. Just because this has been studying
because he was named Gödel.
Well, it's actually I want to say it's like G-O with the umlaut over the O,
Gödel.
and then
that's even worse.
And then the D-E-L. I think it's Gödel, whatever it is. His incompleteness theorem is like just because something has been completed doesn't mean that the null set or the incompleteness of it hasn't also been. I forgot how it is, but it essentially says just because one has been done, the lack of the other hasn't been solved either.
Proven,
Yeah, proven,
yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I always wanted to say Gödel, but I know that's not right.
Waiting for Gödel.
Waiting for Gödel to complete his lunar.
Yeah, right. Analysis.
Experiments. Yeah.
The other thing, too, that I think we should briefly touch on is the idea of the moon and its connection to flood myths.
Yeah.
A lot of the flood myths around the world that talk about Noah's flood, or that are kind of like proof texts of Noah's flood, talk about the moon coming to existence about that time period, which I think is an interesting... That was Monkey.
You better behave and stop barking at people that don't exist.
See, Monkey sometimes joins the show.
That'll be our next episode.
Which one?
Dogs that bark at people who don't exist.
Dude, that would be an interesting episode because there's a lot of that goes on.
We still haven't done that one. That would be a good episode.
Myths. Some researchers link the moon's gravitational influence to legends of the Great Flood. So they think that maybe really big tidal events that were tied to the moon's orbit could have inspired ancient flood stories. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I mean, I really think that Noah's flood was a unique phenomena. And there's a story, I think it's the Greeks had, where it really parallels a lot of what the Bible said about how before the moon existed, the world was watered through a great mist that covered the world, and then when the moon arrived, it caused all the water above that had been gathered to collapse, and that's what caused the flood.
Yeah.
And,
you know, we cover so many interesting topics on this channel, and if you like the kind of stuff that we're doing, it really would mean a lot to us if you would go over to redbubble.com and buy one of our t-shirts or a coffee mug or something like that. Or you could also buy our books. We have a lot of books on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, mostly on Amazon, where you can check out our Encyclopedia of Weird Crap, my new book, Sacred Fire, the parafables that we have. We have all sorts of different books that we think you would like. And here's a little bit of information about some of the products that we offer.
Mysteries abound in this world. Who built the Great Pyramid or the Tower of Babel? Did Noah's flood interact with the timeline of the dinosaurs? And why does my dog Monkey bark at absolutely nothing all day? If you're a fan of paranormal investigations, Fringe history, and the downright mysterious, then the Hidden Citadel is the community for you. What is the Hidden Citadel? Well, every week, theologian Willy Minnix and psychologist Greg Kemp dive into the biblical mysteries and unexplained phenomena that your Sunday school teacher was too afraid to tackle. We explore if Bigfoot is an interdimensional entity, a fairy, a djinn, or a Grey-style extraterrestrial encounter, or perhaps just an elemental spirit serving the Watchers, trying to finish the job the Nephilim started. From the megalithic ruins of Nan Madol and Pumapunku to the ancient engineering of Tiwanaku and Göbekli Tepe, we treat these archaeological enigmas as our home base. If you are brave, curious, and have an open mind for esoteric research, welcome to the Citadel. And if you want to support our deep dives, check out the links to our exclusive gear below.
If you like that background music, that would be the song it's the reversed vocals from the song You and the Moon by the Fantastic Flying Frogs, and you can check that out anywhere that you listen to your music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever. And again, that song's called You and the Moon. Greg has a band called the Brothers Graham, and we mentioned just a minute ago in this video the song The Bitter One, and you can check that one out too, and a bunch of his other songs that are out as well. Let's jump back into the moon and its effect on people's brains.
And so I'm like, that's kind of an interesting,
controls the fluid theory as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
I'll tell you something that happened to me, which is what gave me the idea for this moon test that we were talking about.
These are my favorite.
When I was in college, I got rear-ended by a semi, right?
Yeah.
And you know about this.
Yeah, and you had stuff in your neck.
I put my head right through the window, the driver's side window of my car, and ever since I have had usually a couple times a year I'll have glass that works its way out.
That's crazy. I know.
And what's weird about it is it happened in front of my uncle's house, who had shrapnel from Vietnam, and a couple times every year shrapnel would work its way out of his back from where he got hit with a mortar blast. And this was right in front of his house, was where I got hit by the semi, and now I have shrapnel from that comes out. Well, a couple of years ago, we went up to New Hampshire. You know what else is weird is I have a student who her doctor as a kid was Dr. Shrapnel, and his grandfather is the guy that name came from. I thought that was pretty interesting. And we stayed at the beach in a hotel, and I had some of that shrapnel was starting to come out, and all night long I could feel the shrapnel moving out towards the ocean until about, I don't know, it must have been about 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and then all of a sudden the shrapnel started moving the other direction across the back of my neck. And it hurt so bad because it's glass. Yeah. And it's cut. And finally, when it worked its way to the surface, it just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. But it was like, that was happening for 3 nights before it finally came out. And I was able to get the glass to start coming out of the back of my neck. I know it's kind of a gross story, but it's like, when you're there at the tides and the tide was going out, that's when the glass was going one direction, and then when the tide came in, then it started going the other direction. And it's like, I just think that there's something to the pull of the moon that and I mean, here's the thing, that is absolutely painful when shrapnel starts working its way out of your body. And I know with my uncle, he passed away now, but when he was still alive, there were times when he would have to take like a week or something off work just to not move, and he just would lay in bed while the shrapnel was working its way out.
It's like peristalsis, but gone wild.
Yes, it was horrible, you know. And he had a jar of shrapnel that he had been collecting. You know, and he's like, this is my souvenir from Vietnam, you know?
Wow.
And I've got the same kind of thing with the glass from the car wreck that I was in. And it's kind of like, you know, there's probably other people have experiences with things like that too. And I just think that there is something to the moon having an effect on people in a negative way, because I mean, I get irritable when that's happening, and it's like, if other people have issues that is affected by the pull of the moon, then lunatic sounds like a pretty good apt description.
A lunatic is in the grass.
I don't know, is there anything
it's weird
else?
Though, because first of all, like, we go back to we go work our way back to the scriptures. You do have the moon that was created, but then you have the festival of the new moon. And I realize that might just be like, all right, this is the designation of time intervals, but I have to think there's something more to that. And even still, the metaphor of the moon, is that it holds, it reflects the light of a greater power that we can't really withstand straight on. You can't stare at the sun.
Okay.
You can stare at the moon, but when you had
that logic.
Well, I am going back to scripture, like with God, you can't look at him, but you could see him. It was like in the passing, or it was also not directly but indirectly kind of thing.
Yeah, but think about this. God wants an intimate relationship with everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're a moon worshiper because you can't directly access the high God, then you're going in defiance of the high God's command, because he wants to have a relation. That's dishes happening.
I was going to say.
He wants to have a relationship.
Monkey likes to open the door between me and the
if you're avoiding having that personal relationship and going into a relationship with an underling, then you're, in a reflection even, then you're not really having a relationship. It's a form of idolatry.
Yeah.
And so I could see how moon worship may have developed if that's the thinking, if that's what they're thinking, and then I can also see how that could really anger God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because you really, if you're looking for a deity, and you know, oftentimes it's during times of fear or whatever, and that can be at night, and you see this thing in the sky, and this thing in the sky is not static, you know, because it has these different shapes to it. It has these different clarities, and sometimes it even has pareidolia, pareidolia that it looks like there's a face on it, or it looks like it's kind of like it has all the trappings and the suits of something that could be worshipped. It does make sense. It's just.
Have you heard the theory of the map of the world being on the face of the moon?
No, that's cool though.
I was like, it's one of these flat Earth things that they're like, yeah, you can see the map of the world reflected in the face of the moon, and I'm like, what, really? And I'll see the pictures, and I'm like, and then they're like, and then all this other extra stuff out here is the other, land mass that we don't know about that's beyond the ice wall, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
where the Anunnaki live.
Yeah, listen, YouTube, we are opposed to the flat Earth, so please don't put a Wikipedia article. And the other thing is, Wikipedia is not your number one best source for information.
I just go there and have fun.
Wikipedia. Why you decide to put that down as a link at the bottom of people's videos is beyond me, because anybody could get on Wikipedia and
wreak havoc. Edit it.
Yeah, seriously, YouTube, if you were going to put links to places, why not go to like archive.org or a college website somewhere, or Britannica, or any number of other places that you can go other than Wikipedia. They're not the most reputable source for information. So we didn't talk about the Nazis escaping to a secret moon base or secret alien.
Next time.
We should do that some other time. No, we have to do zombies. And then I think we probably have to do like some Christmas mysteries or something too, because at the time I can like postpone some of these videos if we want to insert. So basically, yes, zombies was next. We never have done our Nazis escaping to the moon episode. I think that would be a fun episode to do. But anyway, listen, if you like us, please share this video with your friends. Put it on Twitter, put it on or X, put it on Reddit. Share it wherever you want to. Please tell people about us. And if you really want to support what we're doing, go to redbubble.com and buy a t-shirt, or go to Amazon and buy one of our books. But until next time, please, whatever you do, stay in the Citadel, because as Greg would say, night is coming.
The watchman replies, morning is coming, but night will soon return.